What's up, YouTube? So, in this video, I'm going to be talking about Joseph Ossai, edge rusher out of Texas. Edge rusher slash linebacker, technically. So, I looked at some 2019 and some 2020 film, and that's important to note because Texas is using him in a much better way now. Because I'm going to tell you, and this isn't his fault. He didn't look that great in 2019's film just because Texas was using him in a lot of stupid-ass ways. They wouldn't just let him play edge. They would sometimes let him play edge, and then they would like move him out to box safety, but still only make him blitz. It was really stupid. I don't like him doing that. I just want him to play edge and move on with your life. If he's like a 3-4 outside linebacker and does some coverage things, that makes sense to me, I guess. But to just like straight up, no. They're pretty much moving him to box safety, and I don't know. He's 6'4" and about 253 pounds, so he is pretty much the ideal height and weight that you want in an edge rusher. Like if you were going to make one in Madden to just be the perfect edge rusher, that's pretty much exactly what you would want him to look like. You can tell that he is new to being an edge rusher. I kind of suspected just by the way he moved that he played running back at one point. And then I went and looked, and yeah, sure enough, he played some running back in high school. So I wasn't shocked by that. And then obviously they had him playing like linebacker. He was officially listed as a linebacker last year, and he still technically is. I don't like him as a linebacker necessarily. Maybe a 3-4 outside linebacker, edge rusher type thing. But as a like a linebacker, hell no. But don't get it twisted. I do like him. You can just tell that he's a little bit raw. But one thing I will say about him, he's got a motor. He is definitely a motor guy. He does not stop. You can tell that he works very, very hard. I've seen him chasing receivers that are long gone. You know for a fact he's not going to catch them. But he still sprints full speed downfield to try to get them. I love it. I love motor. When he gets blocked, he doesn't stop. He keeps trying to get past the block. He just needs to get a little bit better and rush with a little bit more of a plan, and I think he'd be better off. He does have some pretty long arms, too, which he uses pretty well. He's good at keeping the offensive linemen off of him, which is going to be very good in the league. He's got a little bit of power, but it's not necessarily his biggest strength. He has a very weird stance. I'll get into that in a moment when I get into like where I want him to play. But he does have some quickness. Like I'm really curious what his 40 time is going to look like because he's actually got a good bit of burst to him. It actually kind of pops off the screen a couple times for sure. But the only thing with him is like he doesn't really have, because he hasn't played edge that long, and you can tell he's not that great with his hands. He's got long arms, so that helps. But he's not very good at defeating your hands. He doesn't have that many moves. He doesn't pull cloth that much. He doesn't. You can just tell that he's very raw at the position. He has a lot to learn about playing edge. But he has all the traits you need. He's got a little bit of power. He's got long arms. He's got burst. Like, where Greg Russo, I said that he was raw, but I didn't really see much from him to really mold. This guy's different. He's got the long arms that Russo had, combined with burst. So that kind of makes up for it a little bit. That gives me something to work with right now. One thing I will say, he does seem a little bit stiff. He doesn't move super fluently, especially like moving side to side. That could be a little bit of an issue, but I'm not that concerned about it. Maybe I'll get into where I want him to play in a minute. Yeah, he just doesn't seem to really rush with a plan that much. He just kind of has a tendency to just run down the middle of people, and sometimes his burst and arms just kind of wins for him. But if that doesn't happen, then he kind of gets stuck sometimes. But again, that's just him being raw at the position. Him continuing to develop could potentially make him into a very good player, maybe year 2 or 3. And I think his burst can give you something right now. Now, as far as where I'd want to play him, he has a very weird stance. I mentioned that before. Let me put my notebook down. So, you can tell that he's moved around a lot. Because, like, when he is playing edge, they have him standing up a lot. And he does this weird thing where he puts his hands out in front of him. Like pre-snap. Which is really weird for an edge rusher. He looks like a corner. He looks like he's playing corner, like he's about to try to cover the right tackle. That's what it looks like. It's weird. And there's a couple times because you're doing that, the offensive lineman, especially on a run play, just runs forward and just like beats the shit out of him because he's got a bad stance. So I want someone to coach that out of him for sure. He doesn't do it all the time. Sometimes it looks a little bit better than that. And it looks like he's actually playing 3-4 outside linebacker. But they just need to refine that a little bit more. As far as where I want him to play, I definitely want him on the edge. I don't want him playing linebacker like full time. If a 4-3 team drafts him, I want him to be a 4-3 defensive end. I don't really care which side because he's a little bit unrefined regardless. I'd probably put him at right end just because he does have that burst and the athleticism might be better as a pass rusher than a run stopper. But he is a little bit unrefined either way, so it doesn't really matter which side you put him on. Just mold him into what you're looking for. But also, if you're in a 4-3 team, I would move this guy around a little bit, kind of like Texas did, but don't make him do a lot of goofy shit. I wouldn't mind putting him at Sam a little bit, especially in certain situations, and let him blitz from there, just to kind of give him a different look, just because of his background. And also because of the burst, in passing situations, I wouldn't mind seeing him play 3-tech a little bit. Just to see if he can use that burst to just beat a guard who's a little bit slower maybe than some of the tackles. I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit of that. Combine that burst with that length and you might be able to get past a guard. As far as 3-4, just put him at 3-4 outside linebacker and just move on with your life. I don't want him playing, because he's not good enough with his hands to play to really two-gap people. I just want him being an edge rusher in a 3-4 scheme. But I think 4-3 is probably best for him. But if a 3-4 team drafts him, that's where I would put him. And I think he will be fine. He needs to develop regardless. But, yeah. So, anyway, that's going to be it for this video. If you liked it, I appreciate hitting that like button. If you have any questions or comments, leave in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.